Hello everyone, today I have the Acer Swift 3 with me, which is one of the cheapest thin and light Ultrabook that you can buy in the market right now. Actually, there are two variants of the Acer Swift 3, the one with AMD's Ryzen 4000 series and the other one with Intel's 10th generation Icelake processors, and the one I have with me is the Intel variant and I have been using for quite a while now, so let's get on with the review. Alright, so the first thing that I immediately liked about this laptop is how thin and light it is. Here you don't get the ultra premium materials like on the MacBook Air or Dell's XPS series, and it feels a little plasticky too, although it is indeed made of magnesium alloy material which helps to bring down the net weight. Similarly, in my months of use, I'm yet to notice any scratches, dents or discoloration so far, which I think is great. The lid also does not flex as much, and this wide hinge helps keep the whole device sturdier. You can also rotate the hinge to 180 degrees, though its use case is pretty limited, at least for me. Right inside the hinge, there are two exhaust vents, but only the one on the left actually works. Sadly, the one on the right is just there to make the device look more symmetric and therefore aesthetically pleasing. Getting to the back of the device, you will see air intake vents and two speakers right below it. The audio output from the speakers is quite low and therefore it's not sufficient to watch movies and such with friends. Moving on, there are 12 screws holding the chassis in place, and getting inside the Swift 3 is actually pretty swift. You can upgrade the SSD and Wi-Fi card, but the RAM has been shouldered in. I've also seen some configurations of the Swift 3 with mere 4GB of RAM, so try avoiding that variant altogether. By the way, the one I have with me has 8GB of RAM and 256GB storage. The Wi-Fi card here is the latest Intel AX201 Wi-Fi 6 module, and I had no issue with the Wi-Fi connectivity whatsoever. As for the ports, you get a charging power connector, an HDMI port, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, and a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port with Thunderbolt 3 support. You can also use the USB Type-C port for charging here, provided you have a 65-watt or a higher USB power delivery charger. You guys must be wondering if you can charge this device with the 65-watt chargers you get on Oppo and Realme devices these days. Trust me, I use that and sadly it does not work. Anyways, looking at the right side, you will find a headphone jack, another USB 2.0 Type A port, and LED indicators. As for the display, you get a 14-inch Full HD 16:9 IPS panel, and as you can see, the bezels are thin on the sides and the top, but the bottom it's pretty thick. You can also get another variant that has 13.5 inches display and a more trendier 3:2 aspect ratio, but that variant is yet not available in South Asia. Getting to the display quality of this variant, it's quite good. Obviously, the color coverage is not as wide enough for professional creators, but for general usage like web browsing and watching movies, it's completely fine. This is an IPS panel, so viewing angles are great too. Brightness-wise, it might not be enough for a fairly well-lit room or outdoors, but is adequate enough for indoor use. The top bezel houses an HD webcam, and actually it's not total garbage. It looks like the video quality is sufficient enough for Zoom meetings and such. However, the microphone here does not sound that great, so I guess you will need to invest in another decent headset to get better audio output. Alright, now let's talk about the keyboard on this device. It has good key travel and I have really enjoyed typing on it. It gives soft feedback and therefore is not very loud while typing. This chiclet style keyboard has a single color LED backlighting, which is pretty basic if you ask me. You can configure between two levels of brightness, but the topmost level is only any good. The only thing that I do not like about this keyboard is the fact that the page up and page down keys are right beside the arrow keys, and there have been a lot of instances where I have accidentally clicked them. Down below the arrow keys, you will find a fingerprint sensor, which is pretty reliable. On the other hand, its plastic trackpad is pretty average. It is not as responsive as glass trackpads that you get on other premium Ultrabooks. Okay, in terms of performance, my review unit is powered by the quad-core Intel Core i5-1035G1 CPU and the entry-level NVIDIA MX350 dedicated GPU. You can also configure the Intel variant up with the Core i7-1065G7. Similarly, as I said earlier, you can also go with the Ryzen 5 4700U variant, which has much better performance and efficiency than its Intel counterpart. But with the Ryzen chipset, you get an integrated Radeon RX Vega GPU, which is not as good as having a dedicated GPU that you get here. With the MX350 that you get in here, don't expect a spectacular gaming performance. After all, the Acer Swift 3 is an Ultrabook. Casual gaming is possible as I got a respectable 100 FPS in medium settings in CSGO. Similarly, I was able to play FIFA 20 in medium settings at high resolution smoothly. However, with prolonged gaming sessions, its single fan could not keep up, although Acer has optimized this laptop to not make a lot of fan noise. So eventually, you will start to notice a lot of CPU and GPU throttling, resulting in a degraded gaming performance. To solve this, you can get yourself a decent laptop cooler pad, which will help for smoother gameplay. But again, if you want to play games, even the light ones like FIFA, I would suggest that you go with the Acer Nitro 5 or the Dell G3, which retail at a similar price as the Acer Swift 3. As for my daily regimes like simultaneously using Google Chrome with 10 to 12 tabs open and Adobe Photoshop for light editing or cropping photos for Instagram feeds, it served me well without any hint of lags or stutter. So if you fall in this or a similar category of users, then the Acer Swift 3 will serve you well. Lastly, let's talk about the battery life. The Acer Swift 3 has a 3-cell 48 watt-hour lithium polymer battery, which I think is a little bit low for an Ultrabook. The endurance here is good, but not that great. Usually, I would not bring the charger with me at office, and all I did is watch YouTube videos and write scripts, and it lasted me with like 5 hours of screen on time under the better performance setting. So had Acer provided a slightly bigger battery, then the Acer Swift 3 would have been absolutely stellar. All in all, this Intel variant of the Acer Swift 3 is a respectable Ultrabook for the price. It has got a decent display and the typing experience here is great, which matters a lot if you are someone who types a lot. The performance on this thing is sufficient enough if you're not into playing a lot of demanding games or have an extensive workload like designing or video editing. Having said all this, I wish Acer had worked on improving two aspects, the trackpad and the speakers, and maybe even the battery as well. So that was all for our review of the Acer Swift 3. What do you think about this laptop? Do let us know in the comments below. And if you like our content, do not forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Till then, I'm Pratima Adhikari and thank you so much for watching.